Welcome everybody to another episode of the Weed News. I am your host, Mike Cannon. I feel kind of awkward. I'm wearing this oversized sweater slash cardigan. I feel like I'm Jordan Catalano from My So-Called Life. That's a deep pull, but Jared Leto is quite a handsome gal, ain't he? This is going to be a very special episode of the Weed News because a lot of wild, wacky, and weird weed stuff has happened in my life lately, so I'm going to talk about that instead of actual relevant news stories. I'm sure you're all excited and not in any kind of hurry to learn something new. In my first story, I had an old weed dealer that I haven't spoken to in a few years try to reach out and rekindle our relationship, which is fine, but the way he went about it was he tried to tug at my heartstrings. Let me explain. He sent the following text. Hey man, so it's my son's birthday. My wife hasn't worked in a while. It's the holidays are coming up. I'm having kind of a tough time. So hey, if you need a couple eighths, they're $70 a piece or an ounce for $4.50. So you're giving me a sob story and then jacking up your prices? With the impending legalization, this is a buyer's market. So if you're gonna retain customers, you better bring something fucking special to the table. And me personally, I'm a sucker for brand loyalty. I still eat at McDonald's till this day because of the attached fond memories I have of my family sitting down and eating there before we were destroyed. Who cares if it's tearing up my insides and melting my O-ring on the way out? It reminds me of when my papa had feelings. Plus, this particular dealer quit on me when I needed him most. I had only one connect when I first moved to this city and this guy quit. I've never been so furious at a person trying to get their life together before in my entire life. Oh, you're out the game, buddy? Yeah, you're no longer dealing ace to low-rent comedians who need it to fucking survive? Take a hike. I can't stand people like you who want to go back to DeVry Institute of Technology and get some kind of bullshit fucking car job. But hey, when you come back, I'll welcome you with open arms as long as you can cut me a deal on the goddamn prices. I'll even throw you a plug on my skyrocketing weed news show that has 8 very devoted listeners that routinely comment and tweet me, and I answer all of them back because it's not overwhelming because it's so few of them. I'll throw you a goddamn plug on my show, but no, you're trying to jack up the price even though your son is starving. Well, hey, guess what? I hope he dies and his last breath says, I wish you did better sales. You know what? I bet if I was one of his old female customers, he would have tried to cut me a deal. At least slip me a free joint, because we all know they're trying to fuck every female customer they have. They're like a bouncer at a bar that think women that flirt with them are trying to actually be nice and are interested in their thoughts, instead of just trying to get into the goddamn club and score some free shit. Well, guess what, bucko? Slap a bracelet on me and you'll never get blown ever, but if you give me a hard time at the door and make me wait for an hour or two, I'll be sucking your balls till dusk. Dawn. That just shows how passionate I am about blowing bouncers. I can't even spit out a goddamn sentence correctly, but you know what? That nut will be a steady stream. More cum graphics, man. Except I just want to, like a straight street, like when you piss for the first time in the morning. That's how I want the bouncer's cum to come out of my mouth. Again, I told you there's no relevant news stories this week, at least ones that penetrated my cerebral cortex. I don't think that's even the correct part of the brain that processes thought, but I'm gonna go with it. So, I'm gonna tell you about a personal revelation that I had while high. This week, I smoked weed and took a bit of Adderall at the same time, so I got super focused on space. And what space brought me to was science, and what science brought me to was my belief in God, and what is my attachment to this type of theology. I know, weird and heavy shit for a Thursday, but let's dive in, shall we? What I realized is that for me, believing in science requires just as much faith as believing in God. Think about it. It's not like I know what they're doing. I can't check their work. What am I? Oh, we'll carry the one, and yes, no, that is why there is a black hole that then sucks us in, and we're on the other side, an interstellar, we're on a planet, and 1 hour equals 7 years somewhere else, and then, wah, my dad's behind a bookcase, and I've never seen him again. Spoiler alert, I guess that movie's still in theaters, so I'm a real sack of shit for giving that up. So that's what it is. Somebody tells me what they've figured out in their life, and if they have enough confidence behind it, I take it as gospel. Which is pun intended, I suppose, in this event. And I'm not anti-religion. Religion has certainly served its purpose. If I was alive before even the internet was around, I'm the type of person that needs God just to explain what things are. Do you know what I mean? If I'm walking around and all of a sudden wind just smacks me in the face, I would need God as a reason to not believe that an invisible monster just molested my mouth. And now it's that time again, time for my favorite segment, TOKER Tech. This week, I never thought it would happen as a 29-year-old man, but somebody offered me to smoke weed out of a soda can. I honestly had to look around over my shoulder just to make sure I wasn't a part of some guerrilla PSA. Some anti-drug superhero just jumps in out of nowhere. Hey Michael, what are you doing there? You're better than that. Fuck you, super cunt. You don't know me. You don't know what I'm better than. I suppose my anti-drug PSAs would have to air on Showtime and/or Cinemax at 4 a.m. I'm embarrassed to say, but I did take a hit of this soda can weed contraption, and weirdly enough, the person who offered it immediately followed my hit with, hey, don't make this a habit because apparently it coats your lungs with aluminum. What the fuck are you trying to turn me into the Silver Surfer? Why would you tell me that after I hit it? My insides are now glowing like E.T. and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I wouldn't make a habit out of this, bucko. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and not recommend smoking pot out of an aluminum can. It's archaic and there's always a better option. I would much rather smoke weed out of this sweater and make sure that I could never wear it again than just coat my lungs as if I'm gonna be some transhumanist cyborg. I want my insides glowing like E.T. and just my finger. Ouch. Ouch. How didn't that kid stick his dick in the alien? I'm 9 years old and I get an alien that looks super moist all over his body. Please, I'm sticking my dick in something. Maybe those ear folds. He didn't really have any of the lobes, but he definitely had some sort of tunnel where you can jam it. 9 years old, we can fit it in anything. We're gonna go back to a very popular segment that we did once, and you guys had a lot of input in terms of what we should call it, so I'm gonna go with joint ventures this week. New graphic, very exciting stuff. And if you have a better suggestion, please chime in below. We'll use a new one every week because who gives a shit about consistency? This week, I will be reviewing Eating While High. I know, could you get any more generic, Mike? Well, this plays into a very relevant story in my life. As you all know, eating while high is an amazing thing. It enhances the flavor, it empties your stomach after seemingly every single bite. It's kind of like an organic bulimia. However, as I found out Saturday night, it could backfire. I ate 5 full meals over the course of 4 hours of hanging out with my friends. When I say full meals, I mean fried chicken and fries. I mean burgers and fries. I mean an omelet with home fries. I mean several milkshakes, and I can't remember, oh, I ate a gyro as well, and then what was my 5th? That's what happens when you're high. I guess you forget how good the last meal was, but I do remember I ate some kettle-cooked jalapeno chips on the ride home. And what happens after you eat so much in a short period of time? Apparently you throw up in your sleep. Yup, I almost pulled a Mama Cass and choked on a ham sandwich. To my credit, I did kind of roll over during REM and just over the side of my bed, and then I looked down at the floor and my puke had assembled itself in the shape of the American flag. Because what's more American than eating so much on a short budget and then vomiting it up? Also, my poor friends, they were absolutely baffled that I could eat like a Simpsons character. Just never ending and just From now on, every time I bitch about money and being broke, I have to remember the time that I ate so much that I threw up while comfortably resting in a pillow-top bed. And what an eye-opener, because I almost died like the gluttony guy from the movie 7. Except instead of my asshole being shut, on the contrary, it was quite open and ready for business. On that note, guys, thank you so much for watching another episode of The Weed News. Subscribe below, subscribe over here. Remember to subscribe to my podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. We talk conspiracy, corruption, all that stuff. We are trying to elevate our consciousness and get along with each other these days. No more cutting each other off. No more Fox News versus CNN. No more polarizing kind of stuff. We're going to respect each other and move on like human beings. We'll see how long that lasts. My guess is 1 or 2 episodes. Thanks again so much for watching, everybody. See you next week.